morning everyone, it's Ketty. Today we're going to be looking at a particular type of somatic sensing which inspires us to take action. The first is a head, tail or spinal momentum that is very flowing and curved. So this is kind of flexible. This flexibility tells our brain that we have choices, and when we have choices, our entire nervous system relaxes, as it should when you are able to, make a decision between things that are easy to choose from. But if you have too many choices, again, that can overwhelm the nervous system. So just two choices here, kind of looking around at the right and left. So this gives us the impetus that there's choice, there's the ability to see different sides, there's the ability to choose one thing that we prefer or that is better for us than the other. However, the aim is flexibility. So flexibility through the spine elicits that psychophysical feeling in the body and mind. Then the next is action, the workhorse. That's where you're actually physically doing something, like about to pick something up or do a movement from the midline of the body that bends the body forward and comes up. That movement, we've got that actually, in squats, when we do those big squats on the floor. That helps us to initiate or ignite action. We feel like taking action. Okay, so let's begin with our first movement, and this is your head-tail movement. Head-tail is the upper spine and the lower spine. So what you're going to do is allow yourself to do a melting movement, a melting downward movement where you're allowing your head to move and the lower body and spine as well. Now, if I stand back here a bit, you can see what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing the body down and then up, down and then up. I'm just allowing the back to wiggle, but also I'm moving the head. So I'm not doing like a belly dancing move where I'm doing like a figure of 8 in my head still. I'm actually allowing the upper body to respond flexibly. Okay, so just allow your body to feel this melting downwards motion, following gravity to make it easy, but also it's the spine moving from the head or the neck and the tailbone. This head-tail motion releases and relaxes the whole nervous system. So again, that's why a lot of people who start belly dancing find that it's very soothing. It feels soothing on the body, but also in the mind. So it's these movements that are the soothing movements, the wave-like movements. And we can even do this where we stand to the side and we kind of push our body forward and back and we rock and wave. I'm just going in a sagittal direction now, which is forward and back, and I'm just allowing my body to push forward and roll forward like a wave, that lovely wave-like motion. So it's in the vertical stream, so you're coming down, working with gravity, and in the sagittal, just allowing your body to push forward and back. And you can see, of course, how many of our lovely belly dance movements come into play with this head-tail motion. And then we also have our hip circles, and even in Qigong they do these little hip circles like that, just to loosen up the hips. Sometimes they do them from the knees. If I stand back here, I'll actually do them from the knees like that. Okay, to gain flexibility in the knees. So you can do that with the knees pressed together, or you could slightly take the legs apart and just allow yourself to do the circle, but also allow the upper body to respond. Now, if you're in a chair or you're not able to do this movement standing, what you would do is sit down and just allow yourself to kind of wiggle your whole body in the chair. So wiggle the body in the chair, let your neck move left and right. If it's impossible to do the two at once, just feel your body wiggling in the chair, like move the tail area, lower back, and then look left and right, because you're still getting the impetus of choice, flexibility, and a spirit of curiosity and play. And that's what we want, especially people who are in the arts. It's really important to have spinal flexibility because it just opens your scope of creativity. This is a very creative and fun way of exploring the world. And if you open your eyes and you actually look around the room, you take in a lot of information, and it's a real sweeping spectrum that you're looking at. So again, your brain is waking up to possibilities. It's really beautiful, this deep yet simple psychosomatic work. So now we're going into a different kind of head tail. So remember, this one was just all about flexibility of the spine, but now you're going to bring the feet apart, hands on the knees, and you're just going to look like this from side to side. This is a kind of movement, of course, you can do in your chair, side to side. Try and twist your back though, so that you're really getting a good broad scope of what's on both sides of you. And this is called a focused head tail. If I do this for students in schools, primary schools or kindergartens, the kids suddenly snap to attention and get very focused, especially the children who have ADHD. So this is how we get there. We begin with a fluid, flexible spine, and kids can get wiggly and do silly things. Just enjoy their spine rotating through space, and then they stop, they root themselves into the ground, and they still maintain that sense of curiosity with the upper body. However, all of a sudden, a total focus comes in. And it's a pretty amazing thing to see, how a child's mind can go from wanting to do everything and getting all excited about the whole to suddenly focusing and looking at their friends and having a giggle and really being able to scope out what's happening. This is the predecessor to the second movement now, which is the action move. Action is an awesome move. So this means we midline body bend. So if you cut your body in half there, you bend forward like this. However, usually if you're bending forward, your thighs will take some of that action. Okay, bend forward and up. So squats are a classic upper lower move. That's what it's called, the upper lower. Like a squat is a classic one because it gets you feeling as though you're working from a strong base and able to rise up. Strong base, able to rise up. And if we add our core distal that I showed you in the first session, we've made it even stronger. Distal and then core as we come down, distal, core. And this again, you can do in your chair. So if you're seated, I'm here against the wall. Okay, I'm seated. So you can still do this, bending forward. See that bending forward tells your brain, okay, we can do this. I'm capable. Okay, so this is your midline and you bend forward from the midline. So bending forward from the midline is like you're going to pick something up and lift it up. Pick something up and lift it up. And you might notice a lot of movement practices like Qigong or yoga, Tai Chi, martial arts, they have these movements almost inbuilt into them. And another thing is at the gym, there are certain exercises that you could do that would emulate a lot of these body connectivities. And at a later stage, I'd like to show you that as well. Okay, so it's that lifting. My mum, she's a gardener. She's constantly bending down, bringing plants up or digging. And this motion has been very good for her legs. The Chinese say that your second heart is your calf muscle because it pumps your lymph. Okay, so when you're using your calves, you're actually pumping lymph. And calves help to strengthen the whole body. So, of course, walking's good. And if you can't walk, remember, even with a stick, you can still take small steps and walk to exercise the calves. Or you can balance onto a wall and you can kind of lift yourself up and down. If you can balance on a wall, lift up and down. These are called calf raises. Okay, up and down, strengthen the calves. Calves are a good part of the upper lower family. Okay, so today's session was finding flexibility and creative scope in the mind, through using spinal flowing techniques. You don't have to be a dancer or professional mover. All you do is wiggle your spine. You get silly and wiggle your spine. It's part of the fun. It elicits a sense of curiosity and play. And then you focus. So this is called our focused head tail. And after that, we're in the perfect position to rise up. Okay? Down and rise up. Again, you can do all of these movements seated. And if you can't move your back, there is one other alternative, and that is you can use your hands because you're still creating the movement. So let's say your back is really sore and you can't even move your back and you're seated. You can do this. You can do that with your hands. Soft hands, and you can look at the hands. You can at least turn the head and neck. And what this does is it gives you that same impetus as a flowing spine. And then if you want to go up and down, you literally do this with your hands. If you can put something in your hands, like small weights, for example, I'll just take one of my little palm trees. Okay, so if you can do that, doing your little weights like that is also an extension of your upper lower sensing, which tells your brain, hey, you can take action. Let's do this. So folks, I hope that's helped. Again, I just love these movements because they're simple and anybody can do them. You don't have to be a professional at anything. All you have to do is have a body. You don't even have to be standing, you can sit down. Thank you again, and I'll see you tomorrow for the last 2 movements.